Right.
You know, you really have to look at it, because that's what Tucker Carlson, if you want to look at the graffiti as far as what Tucker Carlson is saying, he's saying it's nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And all the rhetoric he's saying is not worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't understand as an individual if it's worthwhile or not and what its purpose is in the public sphere, then no, it's not. It's that you're pretty much on that side.
Mm-hmm.
Not because you're saying it outwardly, but by default, by not understanding why, graffiti is important. It's much more than just being done by hand. You know what I mean? It's much more than that. Does it communicate?
It does.
What does art supposed to do in the public sphere?
There was a quote that's supposed to create conflict.
It's supposed to communicate a thought, an idea, a process. Why else are you looking at it like TV when you look at a mural?
Right.
Same concept as the mural. There's no disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
It's just perception that's controlling the day.
Mm-hmm.
So before perception gets out of hand, what is the importance of it than just being done by hand?
Mm-hmm.
Graffiti does what? It binds you as your, how would you say, your most basic person? Because all you're taking is an instrument and you writing, or you're leaving a mark.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes you all the way back to your most basic form of man. And then it can go all the way through by adding all the elements of what we know as art, world art, Western art, American art, however you want to look at it. And it fuses those errors into what you're seeing. And then gives you a hybrid of it. Because nobody takes the time to really look at what's going on with colors.
Right.
Mark, with movement of mark, placement of mark. They're not looking at the whole thing of optical mixing. That's been used in graffiti for years now. Whereas you put two colors together, and it's a known thing in a color theory that they vibrate, they move. That comes from Safar working in the textiles and working with threads and putting colors together. If you don't understand what you're looking at, or you go with the propaganda, which would be the Tucker Carlson, then you get confused. You don't understand. So that's why I said to you, so, what's the purpose? And when you say, to be done by hand, it's like, nah, you really don't get it. It's letting the most inner part of you come out unimpeded, unquestioned, unprovoked until you show it. There's thousands of hidden graffiti artists out there in all age groups, because we've all been impacted by seeing this stuff, seeing the best of it and what we would call the worst of it. Why do they do rest in peace signs with, graffiti artists? Why do some neighborhood stores use graffiti artists to put their name on their store? That would be your old-fashioned sign maker then. You know what I mean? These are the things that are being done with graffiti. And then we already talked about how many digital and graphic designers are graffiti artists or want to be graffiti artists. The influence is there. So it's viable. And it's an art form. Now, is it American or is it foreign? Well, it starts all over. One place can't really grasp it. We can say that we formulated the best. We can say we took it to higher heights. We formulated to a thing where it could be more accessible to society, to be spread out throughout the world.
Mm-hmm.
T-shirt you got on, look at the letters. Those are all digital letters. When my eyes are open, it's on. But they're digital letters, but they're letters that were made mocking graffiti art, using the movement of graffiti.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? That's the whole thing with that. And now that blends down to all your other basic forms of doing art. You just make a decision. You know, that's all it is. Graffiti is a decision. So I want to bombard the whole place for you to see me because I need attention. I want attention. I want to feel like a movie star. Only way I'm able to do it is put my name everywhere so you can recognize that I'm everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
This whole area is me. That's what the person is saying.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's not paying attention. None of you are not paying attention. Okay, I'll make you pay attention. I'll put my name all over this town. Mm-hmm. This town is my town. That's what he's saying. And every other person that went out to do it, they're saying that these walls is mine. This space is mine. So now you're going to be forced to see me now. That's the bandit. That's the bandit aspect of it. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to ask you anything. I live in this area. This area is my domain, and you're going to see my name. Mm-hmm. In every combination color I can put it in, you're going to know my name. It goes all the way back to cornbread. Mm-hmm. That's the style that they have a problem with because they're thinking that it's what? That it's tearing down the value of the society. Mm-hmm. It brings a certain elements of degradation, as they say. Mm-hmm. But no, we're just showing you how to reoccupy space. That's what they're saying. Mm-hmm. You think the space ain't worth nothing. Okay, I'm going to make it worth something. I'm going to put my name all over. Mm-hmm. Because my name is all over it, it's going to become important. Or I'll be important. Why? Because my name is there. If you decided not to use the space, so I'm using the space. If you ever talk to some of these graffiti artists, this is some of the lanes that you see. Mm-hmm. I want to be seen. I want to be known. Now, you have another contingency of graffiti artists that's just on books and canvas. Mm-hmm. And do indoor murals now, you know, in people's homes, basements, things like this. See, that's a whole nother lane within graffiti that serves a purpose in society. Mm-hmm. They're assisting in bringing another human being's imagination to fruition. Mm-hmm. So that steps up into beautifying. That steps up into the psychologies and the behavioral sciences, and all this good stuff. And then now these artists started to use the colors as a psychology. Mm-hmm. You know, you go in a restaurant, you see warm colors, reds, burgundies, and oranges. Think about all the restaurants you've been in.
Yeah.
Warm. Why are they warm? They're warm because it keeps your attention. They're in derivatives of orange because it's been known that orange sets off the idea in a human being of hunger. They've been doing these tests with color theory so much, and the psychology of color and all of this good stuff that if you read into it and investigate everybody, you'll understand that there's a color for everything.
Hmm. That's true. Color for everything.
Now you get that's when you deal with the fifth idea, the will of the fifths. Mm-hmm. And then now you'll have, if you put that in Google, you'll get all these other different diagrams that not only show you the color theory, but then it starts to break down the emotional theory. Mm-hmm. And then so on and so forth to every aspect of human nature. And then it shows you how, you know, if you look further, it shows you how John Coltrane used it.
Mhm.
Miles Davis used it. Whereas when they call their music blue or blue train, they're actually using, if you go and check in the color theory and the tonal theory, that he's using those colors on the color wheel to formulate that song, which is those colors have a certain tone. And
Mhm.
Blue Note was called the hidden note. But all of this was practiced in hip hop too as well. And then it translated into what? Graffiti.
Mhm.
So graffiti expresses all these ideas from the museum and everything because these individuals are visit a museum. They may not pick up the book, or they may pick up the book, but they may look at the paintings and be more impulsive, more intuitive in their observations, seeing what reacts to them, and then saying, I'm gonna go find that same comparison outside. And they'll find two cans, and then they gradually, how would you say, teaching themselves color in an intuitive way,
Mhm.
how I feel about it rather than what I know about it. And then one day the two connect, and then you see the graffiti that you're seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of these individuals are not 15 and 13 years old. That's another myth that a lot of people put on that.
Mhm.
These are individuals that are over 17, way more into their late 20s, because you have to have time to formulate this style that you're going with. That's what the graffiti does. It gives you an opening to express self. And then when you express self and you outdo, or your image is known or become more memorized than others, then now you hit another pinnacle.
Mhm.
You see? So like you do you understand, like we've already done it as the basic format. Then we went into the idea of the obscuring of it. How do you make it so that it's so minimal that you can see that it's a block letter, but you can't really see your name?
Mhm. Yeah.
So see, they have different styles that you can use where now they're flipping and turning the letters in a perspective way. So we can talk about it in that way. And I'll show you on the board, because it's all about understanding perspective when you start using the higher elements of the graffiti. Then there's other styles where you can do flat patterns that fill space, that's very colorful,
Mhm.
almost symbolic, like
Mhm.
statements, like mini statements.
Mhm.
Hey you, what's up? Philly love. These are the things that LOS does in his pieces. So if you look at his graffiti work, you'll see it. You'll be like, wow, he's taking terms and putting symbols with terms, and then changing color patterns to get your attention and make you feel the moment. And he's gone through if you look around and you see LOS, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, big guy, but your work is amazing, it's beautiful, and it shows the idea of what graffiti can do in the public sphere. Because you don't only do these in America, he's all over the place. He's in the art scenes. He's down in Miami, he's overseas. You see, graffiti artists are not your stereotypical artists right now in the world.
Mhm.
They're all over the nation, in each region. Each artist is not particularly staying in one region. They jump from region to region, and then they go international. They go to Europe, they go to France, which is a big time hub for it. Then they go to all those other foreign hubs that's out there. And people don't believe it until they look. And it's like, yeah, graffiti has made a major impact on the world, because you don't have to necessarily go to school. You don't have to necessarily be instructed. It's something where you can just pick up a pencil, like how we're saying, pick up a pen, have any type of piece of paper or any type of surface that adhere to what your material you're using, and you can get to work. It's one of the only art forms that allows you to do that freely without too much judgment, because not a lot of people is versed in it to be able to judge you. All they're doing is they're judging it on their like and dislike. Oh, it's just writing and scribblings. It's black and white. It just tore up that red brick face. But now if you look at the other ones, wow, that's a lot of color. How long did it take him to do that? How did he know to put those colors together? How did she know to put those colors together?
Mm-hmm.
Because now a lot of graffiti artists are females now. It never used to be that factor earlier on in the movement.
Right.
Now in this movement, it's bisexual. It doesn't have to be just, it's predominantly male, I will agree, yes, but you have a lot of females that's hot with that can. They know that graph, and they're the ones that push the canvas and the indoor things more because it's direct to the public at that point. Mm-hmm. See how these concepts come out when we're even talking about graffiti, if you're really honest about it, to really observe it in the public, in man's sphere. You really got to be honest about it. You can't, go in and say, oh, it's just this and that. No, you got to really go around your city and look and see how many pieces of artwork or graffiti do you have in your city? What's the purpose or the function of the graffiti that you see in your city? Because if it's just those bubble letters, like how I showed, the throw up letters, then that's just a person or individuals that want to be known for it, of being in an area. When you see the more colorful ones, the lettering one, like how we did last week with the highlighter markers and everything, those are the ones where I'm expressing I'm an artist just like you now. I might even be better than you. This is the attitude of the graffiti artist. Like I am an artist. Yeah, I'm a graph artist. It gives you a certain bravado. Because soon as you do one or two that's function that people take pictures of, or people walk by and say, yo, that's hot. And they like to be incognito or, incognito. So they stand on the side and you may not even know that's the graffiti artist, but you're making comments as you're walking past because it's already done. So they like, just like most criminals, you want to go back by, where you did your crime. And you want to hear the responses to your crime. You know what I mean? We can't negate that fact that is, if you look at what graffiti was and that personal expression of wanting to say, put a heart on a wall or scratch it into the tree and put D and D, you know what I mean? You know what a person was trying to say. I'm expressing my love publicly for my whole buddy or whatever the case may be, to the point where we started getting tattoos doing it after the turn of the century, after World War I, when they all came back. And this is where these men started expressing their thoughts on their skin personally. And that's how the craze went even further. So it really starts from there, that innate thing that you want to do to express self. That's what really graffiti, because look how free you was when you did the piece last week. This is what I'm saying. Like, you see how comfortable you was when you was doing it. You didn't feel no judgment. Your perfectionist mode didn't kick in. All you was concerned with is, how am I going to put Nay on there the way that I'm seeing it? Like, yeah, Don, put something on that board over there. Yeah, all right, you understand that. But he said, be free, do your own. All right, well, what am I going to put? All right, Nadine, what's your name? Nadine. All right, Don, I'm going to do Nay. You know what I'm saying? You just went right into it. See how easy it just left you open to do it? Yeah. That's the importance of graffiti. Honestly, that's the importance of graffiti. You can do that. I've seen friends when they've gotten in situations, if you know what I mean, vacation, and they just so happen to understand graffiti, they would do a whole letter in graffiti. The whole letter. Characters and everything, roses and all this good stuff, rainbows, and all of it comes out. You know what I mean? Because you're channeling yourself. So yeah, Nadine, that's why I asked you and I asked you again, you know what I mean? What's the importance of graffiti at that point? You see, you can mull it over for yourself and everybody else out there in city to city, because we know we deal with people in different cities. So please, really look around your city. See if you got graffiti that you feel is functional or non-functional. More than likely, the non-functional is going to be this one right here. This is what we would call the throw up and all this stuff. The reason why they call it a throw up is because you're doing it fast.
Oh.
It's like a
Did you?
program.
I didn't see it, so I didn't know if you held it up.
I didn't put it up yet. I was just.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I'm there. So once again, I'll do my name how I used to do it. You see? This is what you call a thought, when you would do it fast because you don't want to be left around too fast. So I can do a cross. You see what I mean? And then now, like I was trying to get you to do last week, maybe you would sign your name in the corner of it, like so. You see? And you see how fast I did that on the board, right? So they doing that with a spray can, sometimes two colors, black and white, you know, yellow. They may use the, colors that they use when they're doing the street markings or when they're doing the piping and all that good stuff. You heard me, Nadine? Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like those bright highlighter colors that they use on the ground, the bright oranges and stuff. They'll get those paints and then put a black line around it. Even down to the point where you have certain caps, as they call them. So if you ever hear your kids talking about caps, they're not talking about the capping that you hear about on the internet. They're talking about the caps for the cans. Mm-hmm. So you have fat caps, medium caps, thin caps. Mm-hmm. Like before, you used to have to make these your own by getting different aerosol cans and then figuring out which ones you can augment to make the propellant come out to give you a thin line or a fat line. Now they make them. They have stores where you can go right to your art store and you can buy caps for your cans. So much so to whereas the companies now have actually started manufacturing different, caps to make different line quality. You see? So that would be the one that they would call the one that's negative to them. Because they can't read it, but if you understand what the letters are and how the style works, you can figure out what the names are. That's another challenge. If you go out and you want to have fun, start looking at the graffiti and try to figure out if you can see the names. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times the graffiti artist likes that too. Like they're not making it for you to be able to really, understand it to you being the average person. They're saying to the people that understand it, this is my area. All right, now you as an average person, if you can go out and see, you be like, oh, I know that graffiti artist, and that's how they get paid. It's based upon how many people will talk about what it is they left behind or how they just messed up the area. To that artist, that's beautiful that does that lettering style. You say he messed up the area or she messed up the area. They're saying, yeah, I got your attention. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful part about it. Come on, Nadine, what's up? What's your thoughts now? Do you really, understand graffiti or, what are your thoughts? Would you have any questions for the people that might have a question about what this is? And they may be on the fence or not. They may not be on the fence. They may be like, listen, Don, I don't care what you're saying, you and Nadine saying. I don't like it. It's messing up my area. And it doesn't matter what you say. You're going to have people like that. You just got to realize that and understand that. But
yeah. To be honest with you, that's why I wanted us to go further with it, because this is new territory for me. I'm coming from the aspect of perhaps being brainwashed by commercial entities about what the value of art is. And when I think about sometimes how people would put African art in a category of being primitive art, you know, as if that is less than, you know, the art that is in the museums, even though they're in the museums as well, African art. But this notion of what art is, and even being challenged with AI right now, like really just looking at what art is, and then coming to graffiti and graph art. And, you know, that was I think it was my first piece of graph art. I mean, unless you consider signing your name graph art. I don't know.
Technically, that's what it is. You're leaving your mark behind and signing
Right.
your name on a contract, signing your name just on a piece of paper on your check. Yes, that's graffiti. Look at how a doctor's signature is particular to that doctor. You can't figure out really what it is, but you know your doctor's signature. You see it.
It's just undescribable.
Right. That's the dentist and even the nurse being graffiti artists with the way they sign their name. It has to be quick, and it has to be a symbol that mimics, or has to be what? Them. Like what? Like emoji.
Right.
Same thing, a symbol that represents you. As soon as you put it down, everybody knows what it is. So you got it. Yeah. What else were you saying? I'm sorry about that.
No, that's okay. And then, but you started asking what was the purpose of art. Like you had a couple questions. What's the purpose of art? And what does it do? And I think the what does it do is in relation to the viewer seeing it. What kind of feeling does it evoke from the person experiencing the result of the creation? In terms of what does it do for the artist? That, I mean, I can see what it does for the artist, but then there's the battle of what does it do after the mark has been laid.
Understand? Yeah, that's the micro and macro world now that we're talking about.
Right. And I think if there was any way possible that more people understood graph art, there would be more opportunities or more people working towards creating these spaces so that they become public art in its truest sense.
Yes, and that's a problem for the current society. Do I really want my current society, if you look around you and ask yourself by looking around and see how things is going, do society or the corporation want us to be observant?
No.
So then if we can't be observant, how are we going to express?
That's the battle.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I said what I said, because that's what graffiti challenges at that point, the base root of that. See, museum art, all the other art movements and things like that have been accepted. Why? Because it's in a museum. It may have passed through academia, and it's on the tips of the tongues of the elite of all your market bubbles. So if you go to your education system, it's the same reflection. I noticed that if you look at the Sotheby's and you look at your history books for art, it's almost the same doggone thing. So you're being groomed to have certain aspects or thoughts about art. That was another reason why Basquiat was important, that a lot of people don't really look at. They just look at the impact of, like how you said, the end result and how that affects them. They don't look at how art then transcends and affects a marketplace. Because the question then was, is this a real commodity? See, most people don't look at artwork. The average person doesn't know that that art is a commodity.
They think it's just recreational.
Yeah, and that's the other grooming. That's why a lot of times in a lot of families, you hear a lot about a lot of artists, especially after the 80s, where their families think they can't make money, you're going to be poor. Why? Because they don't understand society and where this stuff places in. All they know is, hey, man, you need to survive. You need to make money. I haven't saw anybody that's an artist really living. Well, we all know that's not true, but
Right.
look at that disparity. Look at
Yeah.
that propaganda. Look at that thought that keeps so many down and forces people to do things, that they may not really want to do just because they've been, impacted and influenced by a propaganda piece. What is art? If you look around us now, everything, and because of the AI, is being reassessed. What is art then?
Yeah.
Is it just something that can be shown on a screen and that suffices for the human being? Or is it tactile? Does it have to be seen and touched and smelled by the human being and felt in that way without the assistance of a screen and without the assistance of a printer?
Mm-hmm.
You see, that's why that 3D printer was made. So, all of this seems like it may be going other places, everybody, and Nadine included, but it's really not.
Mm-hmm.
It shows you how everything is circular and then how everything has a purpose when you're dealing with human beings and societies and cultures. Because what do you think a lot of the indigenous women were doing all over the world when they were decorating their homes? Come on, everybody looks at
They're
these
doing art.
textiles. Yeah, but then no, let's look at the higher aspect of it. They were doing graffiti. They wasn't calling it graffiti. They was using symbology. They didn't call it symbology. They were observing their surroundings and making movements and marks that were explaining the things around them. Each Adinkra symbol has a meaning. Each Komodo symbol has a meaning and multiple meanings. Sanskrit, all of them. And these are all earlier forms of what? You leaving your mark behind. So then what's graffiti doing? That innate thing that all human being wants to do. Leave a mark behind that's a symbol that means something that if you can figure it out, the artist feels great. Why? Because now you're in like mind with me because I looked at the wind and made a mark for the way the wind moves. Yeah, like, look, let's look at the board because everybody trips. You know what I mean? If I'm on the board and I want to say water, I may do a movement like this. How many tapestries have you seen like this?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Gothic period on maps. Come on, let's be for real, everybody. And then if you look across cultures, that same movement will be there and it'll mean almost the same thing in other cultures too as well, with a little bit of derivatives based upon where they're at to see that phenomenon. Come on, let's if I do that, I can take a letter, you know what I mean, and do like this.
Sorry.
And now
Wow.
I just put a little. Can you make that out, Nadine?
It looks like edit.
There you go. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You see it to you? We just used the same flow that we said that universally you see this flow on almost everything historical. I don't care how you want to say it, how far you want to go back. You even see it on stone. Universally, you see a movement like that or derivatives of it, it means water. It may mean fire if I make the tips stand straight up. Because I'm looking at the flame and looking at the amber off the flame, and now you see that outline of the frame, and now that's a line. You're looking at the edge, and that's earlier forms of observation. Now you take that idea and move it into our world. How can I use that? It looks like it says edit. Yeah, you got it. Now, if you look on your computer, how many styles of lettering do you see that you can get in this type of form right here? Where the cursive is stretched out. They got numerous names for them.
Yeah.
you know? And if you go back into graffiti, the graffiti idea now, what would the graffiti artist do? The graffiti artist would either make it thicker, follow it through, you see? Get here, may make an oval here, to get to this oval here, to get to that movement of the D here. You see where I'm going with it, Nadine?
Yep.
You see, and then now you would come back. That would be in the earlier stages of it. And now the artist will come back and then now put the other colors in. And now it would just pretty much be augmenting my design then. And I'm just going to do the ED so you can see it. You see?
Yeah.
And how many times have you been around your city and you've seen letter styles like this? You may not have understand what the artist was trying to relate to you, but you've seen this type of lettering style. I'm showing you how this stuff works from observation. This is the importance of graffiti. That's why it spread so fast from the 70s in America. Well, really from the First World War and all the way through. That's why you have the whole tattoo thing. These were the artists. The graffiti artist a lot of times is the tattoo artist. You know, you're pretty much, when you're a graph artist, you don't have to stay in one lane.
Deep.
Huh?
I was saying deep. That's deep.
Think about this, Nadine. Think about after Run DMC and them did their thing, right? And what did they started buying and getting that wasn't out at the time? Nameplates, name buckles. Who you think was putting those together at first before it really hit the marketplace? A graffiti. I'll help you out. A graffiti artist. That's where all that stuff started to come out of. Why? Because then all the cats that was making money, the hip hop world did what? Started going to the jewelers and wanting what? Gold necklaces, 4-finger rings, molds, and they would give the Jewish artists a drawing, because it wasn't nobody black making these rings at first. I'm just going to keep it honest with you. Nobody African American or Negro American or Indigenous American was making these rings at first. Everybody was going to Delancey Street, Jewelers Row, and they was impacting these places to say, yo, I got this money. I need my ring with my name in it. Can you do that? Who? And at that time, who's going to turn down $1,000 for a ring, $3,000 for a ring, custom? Because it's not the materials you're paying for the design. Then now some of these guys had to be hired because nobody knew the lettering styles really that, was going to do it. And then now you hiring some of these Hispanic and black guys, you know what I mean, to do what? Draw out these designs for you to make molds as the Jewish, jeweler. Yeah, you really got to look at what graffiti did. It goes on and on and on, Nadine. It can go on for days. When I'm teaching it, the kids and the adults are amazed. They didn't think about it. And the elders in the room, they know because they lived through World War I. They knew the debauchery that came with coming back from war. Most of this was seen as debauchery because in America, everybody was conservative and biblical. Blasphemy to put mark making on your body. You're a pagan. I'm being for real. You guys got to go back and research. Go on Wikipedia, look at it. Go on YouTube, look at it. Look at what they would call Navy guys, you know what I mean? Because these are some of the guys that were getting the tattoos first. And I believe it was directly impacted because of the Japanese. They had tattooing way before, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Then you got the indigenous Hawaiian. Then you got the Australian cats that was, putting tattoos on their body to make them look like they're part of the earth. So they thought they were deities by putting certain markings on their bodies. Same with the Celtic painting themselves blue and running down the mountain. They said, I'm like the air, I'm like the sky, I'm moving with the wind. That's what they was telling you when they painted themselves blue. And put certain designs on their body to do what? To make them look more fearful, like the things they saw in nature. Wow, Nadine, I got you quiet. I must be telling you a lot today, huh? Oh, you're smiling. See, I wasn't looking at the camera. I'm standing off on the side drinking some Kool-Aid. I mean, not Kool-Aid, drinking some lemonade, though, that I made, which was just lemon water.
You're making the Kool-Aid for us today.
Yeah, I mean, because everybody doesn't understand. A lot of times they think that, oh, because Don don't talk about these things, it may not be within him to be able to handle these type of things. And that's what I say to anybody that assumes something about an artist. You shouldn't assume anything about anybody, especially an artist, because you don't know what that person does.
Yeah.
You don't know what
experience.
Right. You don't know my experience, where my feet have been, where my mind has been, micro or macro. Just because I wear a hat like this doesn't mean I'm fixed in a certain thought process.
Right.
You see, and that's what kills a lot of the creativity in a lot of families. Now I bring it down to families because it's a misconception in understanding what survival is and how art works in society.
Mm-hmm.
I've been mentioning it all along, just for the graphic design, advertising world, package design and all of that, where the impact is definitely there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look around, the impact is even more so in other situations. Now, I know everybody, it seems like a lot of wordiness, but sometimes we have to expound that way. So
sorry for talking art.
Yeah, there you go. That's the next t-shirt, Nadine. Sorry for talking art. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry, man, but I'm a human. It's part of me. I have to use it in every aspect of my life to express an idea. So look, what if I did this again, Nadine? I put a couple of, oh, this marker is not working. I hate when that starts happening, Oh, there's the other one in my pocket. There you go. What if I start doing markings like this, Nadine? What would that feel like it is possible? What you think?
That looks like some kind of machinery.
There you go. Could be a motherboard. It could be a drawing.
A drawing
of
of
Yeah, go ahead.
Layout for some electronics. You got some energy flowing. You got some nodes or whatnot down there on the bottom. Stuff passing through. Yeah.
But look, did I even think about that? That's something that it evoked in you. Just think about it. Now think about where you see this type of stuff everywhere around you, even in your home right now. The same mechanisms that you just said. If you look at the inner workings of any fan or anything around you, you may see some of this type of stuff in there with the wires, the way they overlap, but just know a drawing with that. And it used symbols and it used shapes, lines, and then they would have numbers, you know what I mean? They would have numbers on here and all that good stuff, Now that's what Jackson Pollock was dealing with. Doing paintings like this. Go to early Jackson Pollock and you're gonna see stuff like this. And that's during that pop era. And if you look back at graffiti, that's when the graffiti was starting to take off too. So, you know what I mean? The importance of art in society, the importance of it is unbelievable when you look. And that's just me just putting a couple of symbols, couple of shapes together, and in your mind said what it was going to be. I wonder how many other people are saying what it is. And then I can do this. Look, to really make a graffiti, then I can do this, Nadine, watch. And then from an element from last week, I'll just take an arrow and point it this way. And then let it hide behind that. See what we did, Nadine?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And now, if you look around your city, how many pieces of graffiti artwork have you seen doing something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Have a scene around it or other elements around it, and then the name will come out of it.
Like the Philadelphia skyline or the New York skyline, and then underneath is, you know.
Okay. Now you got it. You see? See how graffiti is no holds barred, man. It's where everything meets in its truest essence, in its purest essence. It just lets you let out whatever you know. There are rules, but then there's no rules within rules. If you understand that philosophy, then you understand what the graffiti artist is really doing again. You see, what if I wanted to infuse my idea of nature? I could put that in there too. What if I wanted to put my zodiac in there? You see, now I would do what? Oh, let me see, I'm gonna put it up here. I'm gonna put it right here, like it's right above that energy. There's a line here, like so. And then now with my sign, I'm a Librian. So it does this, this, here, then here, then here. Like a earlier scale of sorts. See that, Nadine?
Mm-hmm.
So then now a lot of times when I'm dealing with people that's in the psychologies or they have a psychiatric issue and things like that, you start asking the person to make symbols that's based upon them, whether it be a catastrophe or a vice or a virtue, put it to you that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because everybody will know if I put this symbol here, what this means if I put a heart here, or what we say is a heart. What am I trying to express, Nadine?
God's nothing but love.
Right. Like say, for instance, you walked past a wall and you saw this, what would you think the artist was trying to express to you? See, that's what a lot of times these pieces are doing too.
Let me see.
Mm-hmm. While you're thinking, you can also look at it from another aspect of artists called the futurists, which was the Spanish movements coming to America. And now you got the Spanish, the Mexican muralists after that, that really transform ideas and really push the idea of graffiti. Once these guys went to school, or some of the guys were able to see these other pieces in books, magazines, National Geographic. I'm only able to tell you because I went to art school in the 80s, and that's what it was all about. You didn't just do graffiti just because. It's the same impulses now, except for you didn't have any spaces where people were permitting you to do it. You had to do it based upon being a bandit. And that's where I couldn't do it because I had a stereotypical 70s mother. You know, a little bit of Florida Evans and a lot of James Evans. You know, so my mama was the 70s tomboy that became a mama at 19, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
At 69, and you know, she still had her tomboy ways, but still was a female. You see what I mean?
All
As,
about business.
say again?
All about business.
There
Handle,
you go. Yep.
handling everything.
You know the deal. Yeah. That woman
Now,
that everybody is mocking right now when they say, I don't need a man right now. No, no.
it's
Them
not
women
about
were
that. It's not
right.
about that. It's
But
really, it's really about taking control of your own life, your own destiny, and
yeah,
the people
managing your own space and
and
being able
manage.
to handle that you made in that space before time. I would
Mm-hmm.
say a lot of times when you slide children like myself into the situation, that's always needy in the beginning, you know, you know, observant, looking at everything, then yeah, that becomes a very, you know, doable task.
Right.
You know, and then if you look at it, it's magnified now. Is there propaganda put with it? Yeah, if you look at it, you
Mm-hmm.
know, they take the sides where these women have expressed themselves throughout years, where the mother has probably, if we're going back in time now, the mother has probably been a midwife for some family, some European family that's, you know, controlling the area. Now one of their sons have become important in the area. Now they run out and snatch somebody from the house or something, and they're about to take them wrongfully to jail. Then that mother that was the nurse mother, the Black mother, would have more position with that European well. Why? Because he remembers suckling on her breast.
Mm-hmm.
That's what started the whole idea of these women being tough. Why? Because they would stand up to these European males in situations where nobody else was trying to say something.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that one factor. I was your wet nurse. You gonna listen to me. You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm
I did the
saying?
job.
Right. You know me. Yeah, that's your mama, but you know me. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what wet nurse was transformed into what we see today with a whole lot of mixing of the 70s, you know, Jackie Brown and those women like that, with a little bit of the working woman, the street woman thing, you see, and then the transgender male after that. You know, you got to look at that. Or the asexual male
Mm-hmm.
that took over the fashion world during the 80s. And that's, you know, is Paris Burning, you know. So you look at that movie,
Hey,
everybody, and you get an understanding on why things is moving the way it's moving now. It's a whole bunch of derivatives we're using to try to get to a new template of what these things are. That's the way I'm observing.
mm-hmm.
You know, because if you look at that, all right, this is going off on the other end, but who cloned Tyrone? Did you see that yet,
I
Nadine?
haven't seen it yet, but I have to see it.
I would say it to you this way. Interesting storyline, but the way it's done is like a B-rate Black movie. It reminds you of Dolomite meeting, like you're seeing 70s derivatives, but they're talking about 90s and 2000 stuff.
That was on purpose, though.
I know, but for what I'm saying is that for a person over 45, I don't think this movie was made for. Not
Mm-hmm.
unless you not unless you was a techie or sci-fi nerd when you was younger, when we talking
Okay.
about people over 5.
Mm-hmm.
I believe this is made for everybody below 40
Mm-hmm.
because they have to reformulate what the fear is in society now. When
Mm-hmm.
you say there's enough individuals now where, okay, certain programs ain't working, man. Count
Mm-hmm.
Dracula ain't working. I got to give you
Right.
a Dracula now. Count Dracula got to do more than just suck blood. He's got to like do something like, you know, like a voodoo priest, you know, hang you upside down. And,
Right.
you know,
It's like, how far can you go? How far can you, in terms of hitting the threshold of what's believable?
well, I wouldn't even say a threshold at that point, like you're saying. I'm saying a program is not working no more. How do I
Mm-hmm.
rewrite it so that it becomes back to being functional in society?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's obviously a certain number of individuals now that don't believe the programs we believe.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. For the crowd 50 and over, we were underneath certain programs, when I say programs, certain movies you watched, certain things you would do in culture, certain ways you would hang out. All that's augmented now.
Mm-hmm.
So fear has to be reevaluated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that new movie about the little hand that'll move if you sit there too long, and then now it starts showing you the spirit world and all this good stuff. How do I describe the unknown again?
Mm-hmm.
To this new custom individuals that don't really have any fears really, because nothing, like the boogeyman doesn't really make them scared.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you try it with little kids around, your little kid might even pull the blanket up and just like, ain't nobody underneath there.
You'd be like, where?
When you was younger, you thought something was underneath the bed. With these little jokers now, they're so observant. They'll pull the thing up, the dust cover up and everything, blanket, whatever you got there, and say, there's nothing underneath there. Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
So just think about it. You know, back to our whole design here, our idea with the graffiti, Nadine. Say, for instance, I took a red marker and I just started using lines to fill in places, different types of lines. Let's see. Just one color, just to bring impact. Using lines in different directions, you see? Maybe use this one in here. So it does that in there, and then maybe one long line in there. It hits here and it stays diagonal here. Yeah. See what's starting to happen?
Mm-hmm.
What's the red doing?
Let me see.
The red, go for it.
It's adding depth.
You can say that. Adding interest, adding difference, adding contrast. You see? Take the flow that's out there so it looks like the energy is coming from here or being made here. And then now it looks like now I can make it like a scrumbly mark, like it's all confusing here, it doesn't know what direction it's going. And then something makes it straighten out.
Mm-hmm.
You want to believe it or not, this is what they was talking about with Kandinsky, playing and feel. Let me go get those books and show everybody. This is what the graffiti artists use if they went to school. They use a lot more. But just think about that idea. We just made up something. So now the same thing for you, Nadine. Make something that looks like something that may be in your world around you, with just symbols and lines.
Okay.
So now everybody, here's one book, Nadine. This is the one I was talking about a lot of times, by Wassily Kandinsky, Concerning the Spirituality in Art.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Well, now here's another one. This is another good one by him. And if you really go back and research a lot of your artists in these eras that you may like, you may find out that they were writing books too about their theories. So they didn't look at themselves as just artists. They look at themselves as alchemists. I'm a scientist. That's what they were saying. And there's the other one that he's in there talking about things like that. Point and line to plane. So if you look at his work and what his book was saying, and then go back and look at that pop era. And if you look at that pop era when the jazz was coming back from France and all of that, this is where graffiti came in, all of that bundle right there. Graffiti was in that whole package there. A lot of people don't want to agree with it. Some say it's just a nice thought. But what I'm saying is it's innate in man to express. So where you seeing man needed to express, I'm saying it started off as graffiti, as what we're calling graffiti. What paleontologists may call, paleoglyphs, you know what I mean? And stuff like this, geoglyphs, cuneiform. Heck, what do you think your alphabet is? Nothing but a configurations to express what we all unifiably would say D, and then it has a sound that goes with it. O, then N, and then all of them together, because it's just a symbol in front of you, has what? An octave and a visual.
Mm-hmm.
You see, when you really look at it, how important is art to your world? And I haven't really gone anywhere really deep. It's just really showing you what's really going on. Let's do another one. I'll do another one talking about how you can do perspective, like how I was saying earlier, remember?
Mm-hmm.
You can keep doing that one if you have the camera on you, Nadine. Keep doing the one that you're doing. And then, because it's not meant to be there. See, a lot of times graffiti is good because you can move fast. You can jump from one thought to another quickly. And then what leads you to having multiple pages filled in your memory book. That's the era I come from with graffiti, where you would walk around with what we call a memory book. And if somebody saw your book, they're like, yo, you do graph, you do graffiti, word, what's your name? And then the person would want to see your book. And then now they would either friend or foe you. They look at your book and say, that's whack. That's garbage. Man, you want to battle? You know what I mean? That's what they'll say. You want to battle? You know what I mean? Like, what? So, yeah. So, all right, everybody, if you're on the board and you're looking at the board, do another one. Say to yourself, what symbols could you put down to make us believe that something's like a mechanism? You know what I mean? Let me start with two O's like that. Look. And then now I'm going to put something that looks like. You see, and we make that line come off of that there. Now I'll put a square here. You see, now I can thicken that out this way. And maybe even put something here like that to make that look like it's turning into my letter. I'm just gonna put there, I know what I'm gonna do. Make it look like this paper is right underneath this here. Coming around here. Like it's like a printing press almost. All right, yeah. I'll do something simple so we can fill in space. Because a lot of times it's all about how do you fill in space too. Yep, and there you go. So all I did is put two circles up there. Now I can put some other stuff around here, maybe some more arrows. Yeah, I like arrows, everybody. So, Don's trying to put, when I do graffiti, I'm trying to put an arrow in everything. Maybe it says time. Maybe I'll say some stuff is coming out of here to feed that. Maybe make it come down here and then bubble out of here, bigger. Then make it 3D. Make these 3D. Don't make nothing else 3D, make these 3D. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yep, just with a couple of symbols and shapes and things like that. This is what you can do. Then you would take your marker and your outline if you want to. Or you can come back with your pencil and make your lines darker. You know what I mean? Yep, there you go. See, you're sketching and everything. See, now you're moving like you're an artist now. You don't want to move like that. You want to move like a graffiti artist, Nadine. You just letting it go. Now, if you're saying you're the artist that works specifically from your memory book and pieces of papers, and you might get a canvas or two every now and then yeah, you see a lot of them sketching like that. But when you really encounter a wall graffiti artist, everything's fast because it's in memory.
Okay.
Like that's another thing that is working. A lot of these guys are photogenic. They have photogenic memories, graphic memories. They can remember symbols and things real fast. This is what we mean by they can see the whole image in their head. And then just let it out of their hand. You see, yeah, you're not worrying about is it really, perfect. You know it's perfect based upon how you're making it. You know it's legible based upon your particular style. That's where style comes from in this now. They borrow things from around them all the time. They may borrow how a brick wall looks and use that color in their piece. They may look at an advertisement downtown or something or on the highway. You know what I mean? See that advertisement, like, yo, those colors is hot. And then they go find those colors in the stores in cans, and then now boom, that's part of their list. So they're doing the same thing that the fine artist does. It's just that they fit underneath a category where if I don't go to school and I'm self-taught, I'm in the same category as the folk artist. Self, impulsive, intuitive movements based upon experience. Yep. So imagine I did mine on the board where you notice I don't worry about erasing and perfect lines and all of that. No, because in graffiti, you don't worry about that at first. You build your piece up. This will be a preliminary sketch with a white or gray or blue paint. Then I would come back and start putting my colors in the way that I wanted to. And I probably will put I will put my outline last. That black line that you did last week with the Sharpie marker.
Yeah.
That would go on last. You see, because now you would encapsulate all your areas that you put these bright colors in. And it's a known fact from the individual that I put his books up. He talks about how certain things, if you when you I would say encase an area with a black line, a white line, a gray line, what are the possibilities of impact? How does that read visually? Once again, it's still back to how you're going to attract the next being. So that means that you have to have some type of idea, observation, knowledge, whatever you want to call it, on how a human being functions to be attracted. They like movement. How are you going to give us movement in the piece? Well, that's why sometimes I use arrows and things, because arrows give an implied direction motion, because your eye wants to follow to see where the arrow is going. So you're using all these things to move the eye around to look at the piece. Well, isn't this what a lot of the fine artists talked about that we all know and love? How to control the audience's eye. You think so, Nadine? Or now
Yeah, I do.
She's into her graffiti again today, y'all. You know, can't get no conversation. And they gonna start talking thug to me next. Hey, Don, she's working right now, man. Come on, home. But you get it. Yeah, your inner creative thug comes out. Your artist thug comes out. Stop bothering me, man. I'm working.
I'm trying to make it happen.
You know what I mean? Forget your stream, homie. I got work to do.
You got work to do.
You get it though, you see? And a lot of times, if you're a true graffiti artist, you know what I mean? You're dealing with time. You don't have time to erase.
Gotcha.
Another thing that's in graffiti, the concept of time and duration. Take you to do pieces. How long does it take you to memorize your particular lettering style? These are the things that people don't think is going on with graffiti, the average person, but all these thoughts are going on. If you run up on a graffiti artist and they go to their house or their apartment, you know what I mean, or where they're dwelling at with family members or whatever, you're gonna find books and papers and a lot of papers with drawings on them, lettering drawings, characters, pen and ink drawing, ballpoint pen drawings on everything. Because they're drawing on everything when they got an idea. That's the impulsive part. Ooh, I got an idea. Let me put it down. You know what I mean? That's why you got the memory book. Now that's why when you go to art stores, they got the memory books in all sizes. Those books used to be used for photo scrapping specifically. And then they got transformed into memory books for graffiti artists in the late 70s, early 80s, and throughout. Because it was a hard cover, it was black, it was like your notebook, it was sturdy and durable. Pricey, yes, but if you can get it, see, I wasn't a bandit, so I couldn't steal because I had a crazy mama, as I say. So during those times, that's when the real bandit is out in you as a graffiti artist, because you're going in and you're not purchasing cans the way they purchase today. You had to acquire them or do like JJ did. You had to find them. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
So that's what it was all about. But my mama wasn't with that. So she was like Penny's mama, you know, without the iron and everything, everybody. I don't want y'all to think that about my mama. God rest her soul. But, you know, James Evans, you know what I mean? With Florida Evans on the back end, all in one person. And then she would be like, you better not go out there and find nothing, boy. If I gotta leave my job to come pick you up from somewhere, you're not gonna make it. Just so yeah, I understood. So that's why my inner bandit wasn't like that. Mine was to go to art school. Mine was formulated to see it from the aspect of being, how would you call, almost like a quasi-closet graffiti artist.
Right.
Because I wasn't allowed to go out and deface, as my mama would say at that point. I'm not going to deal with nobody defacing the public and property, and I got to pay for that.
Right?
Because
it comes down to that.
Right. It's like, I don't care what you calling it, boy. That's defacing, and if you get caught, you ain't got no job. They're going to make me pay.
Right.
And then, i.e., now you look, and in Philadelphia at the same time, this is where the mural art starts to come in to play. Because this is right, Cornbread was doing his things, 80, well, he was doing it during the late 70s after 75, but when I encountered him, it was during 83. So that's when I was going into art school, high school. And then that's when he did the thing, the Rizzo thing on the tarp, you know what I mean? It was here thing. And boom, that was, you know, I'm not gonna say it changed me, but it made me think about how was I going to get people's attention? And it's, how do you as an artist get people's attention? There's many ways of doing it, but how are you going to do it and utilize these things, these thoughts? There you go, Nadine. All right. She got a old serpentine arrow style going.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Now you see everybody how that Sharpie is really important, you see?
Let me see, I gotta pop. Oh yeah, they could see it.
Yeah, they can see it. I'm looking right at it. So yeah, you get to the point, everybody, by doing graffiti like this. What happens is that after a while, you won't even use the pencil stage anymore. You'll be able to go in and draw with the Sharpie. So now if you look around, you may see a lot of the younger kids in high school, or you may be privy to see some artwork on somebody, and you'll see them be able to do their lettering style fast, no pencil drawing, none of that. Just straight out with the Sharpie and know how to add on to what it is they make, because they understand their basic lettering style for them and how they may like to do it. There you go, Nadine. Next. Yep. Now, what else could you do? 3D effects. So I can't see the pencil, so I only can see when you do the marker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's all right. Still feels cool.
Yeah.
Yep. Now you're putting your designs on the inside. There you go. Yeah, lines, dots, dashes, crosses, starburst, the 5-line starburst, 3-line starburst. You know what I'm saying? All the stuff you see on the walls in the street to make it look like it's a twinkle and all this good stuff. Yeah. Could you put a 3D effect on that design that you just did for next? What if you wanted to make it look like it was coming from the left and coming to the right, or coming from the lower right-hand corner? That 3D effect, all the 3D effect would drop down to that right-hand corner. Yep, all your effects. You would put a dot where that blue tape is, right? Put a dot, yeah, take your pencil, put a dot there, right there. Now, all the points will come to that direction. So the point on the arrow on the right, no, on the arrow, right there, that goes to the dot. A straight line to the dot. All right, now that other edge on the lower, yep, that edge of the arrow right there to the dot. See what I'm getting you to do? Do the other arrow the same way. No, don't make the thickness. Don't worry about the thickness. Get the angle on where it's going. So do the other arrow like that. Yep, from there, yep. All the way down from there, that side there, yep, to the dot. The arrow on the bottom now. The arrow on the bottom, your arrow on the bottom. That one, yep, to the dot.
Disconnected.
See what's starting to happen? How everything is going to the dot? Now you can make your thickness even more so. Remember how in the 60s the 70s for Charlie's Angels and all that good stuff?
Mm-hmm.
How some of those designs would come across the screen and they would have a 3D effect or a blur effect on the backside?
Mm-hmm.
You did that. Now you would just put in now where the thickness is. You can put the thickness all the way down to the dot from those, or you can stop them and make them a certain thickness, like how you did. Yep. Now darken it in with your Sharpie, and then you'll be able to see how those effects are tumbling and starting to move. Yeah, from the S2 as well, or from the bottom left side of your design. The bottom left side of your design. No, not from the tip of it. The tip of the corner. Yeah, there you go. To the dot. Yep. Yep. And now you would make that thickness. No, not you. No, you make the thickness from the curve. You can't see what I'm saying.
No, hold on.
All right, let me show you on the board then.
Because I was thinking like maybe it's like this.
No, when you're making a 3D effect, it follows the same curve that you're making down there.
Right.
So what I'm trying to get you to see and understand is with any 3D effect, if you look at it, let me erase this away now. I can erase this design away. And now let's show you the idea on 3D effects. When you're talking about, you know, graffiti and lettering. All right, let me move to the side here. Ready, Nadine? I'm gonna do a shape that represents what your shape was doing over there.
Okay.
You see, and I'm just gonna do that shape like that, just to show you that curve. And we said the dot was here, you see?
Mm-hmm.
So lines, I'm showing you how that line would go here to the dot here, you see? Mm-hmm. This one would go to the dot here, you see? Now, when it comes to making a thickness, I take this line and I echo it down.
Mm-hmm.
You see? Following that curve there. Now what happens now when I come back and I darken that in, now you can see how. See the idea now? See the thickness there?
Mm-hmm.
And now to emphasize that thickness even more, all the textual effects will go in the same type of line pattern going towards the dot.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and that's why that line would change like that. So see how it even seems even more like a 3D effect now?
Yes.
And that's what I was trying to get you to see there, how to deal with a curve when you're doing graffiti or when you're doing anything. You could be making a logo for yourself, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the computer is so powerful right now in the basic man's or woman's world. Because the computer now is taking everything we just did there, and you can go to some of your design programs and they'll function off a dot like this, and then you'll take your mouse and when you press it and you move it around, this dot would move around, showing you what the 3D effect would be wherever you would put that dot.
Mm-hmm.
Cork Express, Illustrator, functions like that, Corel Draw, I believe. Most of all your basic programs now, if you take the shapes in your programs and press the shape idea, and if you double click it, it may have a 3D effect where you can do that, what I just was talking about. But note, when you want the effect to be more impressive, if you move the lines to fill in the same direction as the effect, that enhances the idea of the third dimension to the human eye. Your brain is going to want to say that it's thick. You see? I would bring it from the corner though, from that the tail end, where that little corner is of what looks like an, yeah, right there. Then I would take that to the dot in yours, you see? And now you can see where that curve, where that line, if you go on that line, now you would follow the curve at the bottom end of that. Not there, that rare, right there, there you go. You don't have to go to the corner. You don't have to go to the corner. Just come right off of that and roll right around, because that corner that you just made is already there. So don't try to make that corner connect to what you just did. That's not how it works as far as visually is concerned. You're going to see it from that curve, from the way that you've done it. Put the lines in, trust me, darken the lines in and you'll see it. This is where you gotta like really understand. Use your marker and give us the outline. Now you would go from the edge of the E, from the edges of the E there. See, because that's all technically one piece. That's a filler, wouldn't you say? The next part that you have in there, are they separate letters or are they in that S movement that you got moving with the arrows?
They're in the
You
S
see?
movement.
Inside. So then that means that we got to read that like that's a solid piece then. So if I, once again, I'll do a design that looks close to what you got there. So you can get an idea of what it is I'm trying to get you to see as far as 3D effects are concerned. You see, if I was in the room with you, I could show you better. But since we're here, we just got to look at this aspect. So you got it going here, right? Then it goes here, then it's going up. Okay, then this part is coming here, then it's going here, and it's coming here to come back, all right? Your dot is over here, you see, because it's causing you a conflict when you come past this corner. You come from this corner here, you see me, Nadine?
Yes.
And then you're coming across, your problem is it's hitting right there, that line there. That's not really a problem. I'm saying you don't have to go back there to make your thickness. Why? Because now that thickness would come from in here to here within your letterworks, right? And if that's all one solid piece, the bottom of this will go along with this like this, and then curve here. Now this line will be more intricate, you see?
Got it.
Line wouldn't really be there. You see, once I put it in, it confuses the design. You see, you can't see the thickness. So I wouldn't worry about it there. I would worry about it from here.
Okay, got it.
Like this. And then now it's going to be a thickness because the rest of your design is doing this, you see? And that's where the next, and that's all one piece. You see?
Okay.
And then now if you put the lines in like I was talking about for the effect, to push the effect, all the lines are going towards the dot. That's what's controlling the angle to push the idea of the thickness, to push the perspective more, you see? See what I'm doing? And that's how that effect would look. That shadow would look on yours or close to it, you see? It's like over at Abington, I give basically, when I'm doing cartooning, I give them a graffiti class, basic lettering in graffiti. Because in the cartoon world and the graffiti world, it's one and the same. Every graffiti artist has their favorite cartoon character that they watch that they want to replicate, and they'll put it in their designs. Bugs Bunny, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck. It goes on and on and on. See, now you're seeing it. There you go. There you go. There you go. Bang. You see? And then now on that other side, on the inside, there will be the same thing in the inside of your arrow. See, yeah, when you come along that side, it would curve it up, just like how you did with your pencil, curve it up, and then straighten it out right when it gets to the arrow, right there, yup. Well, no, you just can make the curve from the backside. Yeah, just, yep, follow that around. And then straight into your arrow, curve it into your arrow, curve it to replicate, no, going straight. There you go, that way. There you go. Make that look like it's going straight after it curves. That's the way you got it. And then now curve it. Now just put one line there when you do the marker that connects into that design, that thickness design on the right side of that arrow on the bottom. Bang, right from there, yep. Now make that straight right there. Now you look at it, you tell me. All day, starting to flip and turn in space, Nadine. Now the effect on the inside with the lines, all the lines project towards that dot to give you the most effective idea of that movement inside the 3D effect.
Here?
Yeah, there you go. They all go towards the dot though. Be mindful of where the dot is when you're putting that line in there. You see, that's all it is. After a while, you're gonna start seeing it in your head and be able to do it like how I do it. It's just repetition. You just gotta be repetitious and looking for it. And with the graffiti artists, they know all their movements before they're out there. Trust you me. Everything you see, they've done it on a smaller platform. So they've done thumbnail sketches, drawings. They've done so many drawings of their lettering styles that they know it off the back of their head. They can do it anywhere. You see? And then once you know these things, this is what you do. You apply them. And then it's no holds barred. You can do anything you want to do. Put a character in there, 3D effect, names, a message, happy birthday, you know, it's a boy, it's a girl. Look at those cards that you see in Hallmark and stuff in the balloons when somebody has a baby. What type of letters is on there? What type of colors is on there? Same thing the graffiti does. Yeah, there you go. You seeing what's starting to happen in the effect?
Yes.
Now it feels like it's really dimensional now because you added that one little line in the same direction as the dot, as the 3D effect. So that tells you what about direction, mark making. You see how it's all in graffiti?
Mm-hmm.
You see, a lot of people don't understand that aspect. So this is what, you know, typography at this point, you know? How do you take lettering and lettering style and embellishments and decorative designs, you know? Now, if you look at the, look at all the decorative typography or calligraphy,
Mm-hmm.
and then now look at all the dips and swirls and loops they use, you can see how the graffiti artists went into calligraphy to understand those movements too as well.
Mm-hmm.
I got a couple of friends that used to use chisel point flow pens to write graffiti.
Really?
Yeah. Can use a crow quill. And we used to use them for illustrating editorial designs and stuff. Mm-hmm. You look up, these guys had these pens working to give them certain marks in their graffiti styles. That was ridiculous, man. I remember. It impacted me a whole bunch to where I started using the stuff. But once again, I wasn't a bandit. I couldn't get out there. Put the black, I would say put the highlighter solid, right? And then come back and put the black line in there.
Okay.
You see? So I would fill in that whole area with the highlighter. There you go. And then now come back, let that dry for a second and come back with your black line real quick.
Okay.
Do it right. You can see the effect that I'm talking about.
Okay.
Take marker now and then just draw out those lines in those areas. Right over top. And then so you can see the effect. Don't worry about the line wiggling a little bit. Try to just make it one stroke. Okay, stop. When you've done that one, how does it look?
Looks, it pops. This really looks nice.
Right, it pops. Yeah, there you go. And then it's still maintaining its thickness as far as the 3D effect, right? Mm-hmm. So now you're doing all your 3D effects. Yeah, see, now you're getting it. Fill in the whole thing, then come back with your Sharpie marker and do those lines in the same direction, like how we just said, to the dot. You know? And now you're seeing, everybody, how a Sharpie marker can be used with these basic ideas of graffiti on paper. You don't have to be out on the street to do it nowadays to be considering yourself a graffiti artist or a graph artist. You can just literally work from a drawing book. You don't have to have a memory book. You can go and just get any one of those drawing books, like Strathmore drawing books, you know, or the drawing books with the paper in the books, 100 sheets or less, and things like that that you see in a dollar store. You can use those, everybody, and that could be your graffiti book for when you're doing all types of letters and things like that. Then you can get another one where it's just for your characters. Then you would get another one when that one's filled, you get another one where you do your characters and your letters together. You see what Nadine and everybody? So that's how that works. And now you would see, you know, when I was younger, this is the stuff that I would do. When I just understood just wanting to be, you know, expressive, I would do a lot of. And when I got to art school, it all changed because I was able to get in touch with what? Art history, what they saying was important in art, you know what I mean? But you're on these train rides, bus rides, and you're looking at the what they call urban art now, graffiti. And you're seeing the earlier forms of it, but it's really impressive when you're riding every day and you're seeing this, what we call graffiti. And it starts to, how would you say, influence you, especially if you're a artist in the city. Everybody wanted to do t-shirts when the airbrushing thing went down. And I was lucky enough that that was a perfect platform for me because it was graffiti and I didn't have to be on the street. So my mom was all game for that and I made money. So she was like, yeah, you can do that in the house. Don't get it on my walls, boy. You better not get yours, boy. And then when she saw the money that I was making doing jackets and stuff like that, she was like, no, go ahead on. And that was all because I was a babyface Huey. So when it was time for working papers back then, I wasn't old enough, but my body was big enough to make money. And this is one of the ways that I made money when I was younger, doing people's jackets and pants and things like that. Then once again, when I got in art school, it got better when I understood what equipment to buy, like a Pache airbrush or an Iwata double action airbrush. Yeah. What highlighters to buy, you know what I mean? Is Stettler better than Bic? You know what I mean? So on and so forth. You see all these things in my material. Now say to yourself, Nadine, what else can go on the inside? All right, do you have enough marks on the inside? All right, what other colors, like how last time? Would you want to go cool or warm? And then this is where you can use the lines. I would either use the green or the blue on the inside, or you can use exclusively the pink. Or, you know what I mean? It's up to you. And then you can use those oval designs like I had talked about with you before. Remember? I'll show you on the board real quick. These are certain patterns that you see out places that you can use, and then you can make your own pattern. It's like what Lee Krasner would call step and repeat, or echoing, as they would call in the printing world. Echoing in the printing world is not a good thing, but in the art world, it's a cool thing. Like I can put circles in here. One large, one medium size, one small. One large, medium size, one small. You see what I'm saying? Start filling in the idea. One large, one medium size, one small. See how I'm filling in the space? One large, medium size, one small. You see? And you can do the same things with lines too, Nadine. Like, okay, I'm doing, boxes. So I can do one box big, halfway on the edge, one box small, one box big, one box small, one box big. See how I'm stepping and repeating it? One box small. Change the direction. One box big, one box small. See how it becomes like a what's that game where you have to fit blocks together?
Oh.
You see what I'm saying now?
I know what you're saying. Yeah. And
the Candy Crush idea, since I don't know the absolute Tetris.
Yeah.
We used to play Tetris.
Tetris.
And yeah. Now, but it's just all about how do you fill in space. One small one here, one large one here, you see, one medium sized one here. And you're making your own pattern. Like, I'm not saying my pattern is the same as other, but how many patterns have you seen out there with just circles, squares, triangles? Look, we can do it with triangles. Do a fatter triangle, then you can do another one beside it, a smaller one. a fat one on this side, you see, and a smaller one to fill in that space. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You can use things like that. Then you can come back inside internally in that design and might put a green and blue highlighter as a design. So you might go 1, 2 green, then 1 blue, 1, 2 green, then blue. You see the pattern and idea that I'm coming up with on the fly, just based upon what it is I know is out there as far as patterns and designs are concerned. And then what is a pattern? A pattern is nothing more. If we was talking about music, it would be a loop, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
When you hear the DJs take a spinner record and then they play the part of James Brown again, dun, dun, that's a loop. That's an echo. That's a repetition. That's a repeat. So then now that's in the graffiti as well. And they would use those concepts of time and harmony, sequence, all that stuff started to be introduced into the graffiti world. How do you make a pattern? How do you make interest? How do you cause contrast? All this stuff, they may not have used the words the way I'm using them right now. Yeah, Nadine, that's a good idea to make next jump out. The next can be green. The green design could be in the lettering next. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there with the way you're doing it. It's your design, so it's however you want to do it. You take the idea and flow with it. That was another one that Basquiat was about. That was a poet style too as well. I forget the name of it, but I think it's like Russian or something like that. Poet style where they were, how would you say, writing and doing things like that and echoes and things like that. That's where he came with the concept of crossing out a word. So imagine if you put the word next in the inside and crossed out 1 or 2 words in there and what that would cause graphically or you see. I'm just throwing it at you as a concept or an idea. Because that's what graffiti has open for you. Graffiti follows rules but has no rules. So for everybody I'm saying that, try to understand what that means. All art has rules, but then they don't have rules. So yeah, we supposed to use the marker a certain way. Yeah, we supposed to use a pencil a certain way. Those are definite rules. You got to put the pencil to the paper in order for it to work. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But then there's no rules based upon what you're utilizing them to put together. Because we don't know what's in your brain or in your thoughts or on your memory, banks, your liquid memory banks, as I call them.
Liquid memory.
Yeah, because your thoughts are liquid, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
How are you stored in your brain? Everything's a liquid in there. So that means thoughts are liquids too. Has to be. I ask people that question all the time. If they're not, then what are they then?
All right.
You know what I mean? It's not paper. What other solid is it? The only other thing you can come up with is plasma or plasmic. Well, yeah, duh, that's still a liquid. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So yeah. So now you get it, everybody. Look at how she made next stand out by putting the blue around it. And those bubble, you use the bubble, Nadine? You use the bubble idea?
A bubble. I used all 3 of your concepts.
Very cool. And you see how it works. And now you can see with each design, you could have changed the color of the highlighter area that you wanted to. Like you could have switched back and forth to make the echo in color. Green, blue, green, blue. And
okay.
These are all the thoughts that are open to you. That's what I mean by there are rules, but there aren't no rules. You're saying what the rule is now. In this piece, the rules are you use the highlighters on the inside to make your effects come to life. You see? That's how you're making the rules. You use the yellow highlighter as the thickness of your 3D effect. You see, you made that. I know I made the suggestion. Okay.
You made the
But when
decision.
we're talking,
Yes.
yeah. we talk about the finished result though, Nadine, that's your thought. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
On how to deal with ideas. And then now you would, do what you're doing, like how you're doing, pick out, maybe do something real strange in one or two areas, fill in, yeah. But then now whatever works on this one, you got to remember, and that's in your graffiti toolbox for when you do something else, you got things that you can do to bring out your design.
Mm.
See, and then you're making your own design, your own styles using these ideas. And then now all of a sudden people will be able to say, hey, is that Nay One's work? I thought that was that Nay stuff with Don online. She's out on the streets now.
Create and habit.
What I do with some of the kids that I've taught online graffiti, I get their parents to come on the last class, and then we negotiate with the parent. Can they have a wall in their room that they can graffiti techniques or garage?
Okay. Yeah, that's nice.
And then the parent is normally, it gets cool with it because, they see all the work they've done. They've seen the connection that the child and I have made. And now they start to entrust that idea because it does make sense if they can do one wall in their room. Like, you know what I mean? Don't force them to be a bandit because they will go out and be a bandit. Let them have a wall.
They got to find a wall.
Yeah, you buy a big old canvas and they just keep, one parent said no. So I was like, well, how about we negotiate like this? How about, since cost is not an issue to you, why not buy a canvas that's the size of the wall so that he could paint on it, and then every time he wants to change the design, he can paint it over white and do a new design. You should have seen his face on the screen, Nadine, on the Google chat.
Oh yeah.
And his mom read, but she started smiling because she knew what I did. I got her.
Right.
Because you go to any art store right now, they got those size canvases.
Right.
And she said, "Oh, I think I can do that, Don. Yeah, I think he deserves that. We can do that." And I get his father to put the right hanging system so he can hang it to the wall. I just don't want it on my walls, Don. I was like, no problem. But he's something that he can express this on. You don't want to get this information and not have some place where you can enact this on. Because after a while,
it becomes dangerous.
Yeah, paper gets boring after a while. So then you're going to want to do your shirts and stuff. So get him an airbrush, I suggested to her. Got him an airbrush, double action. You see, Iowata, a double action gun. Double action meaning you can press down for the air and you can pull back for the paint to be dislodged through the air from the jar.
Okay.
So that's double action. If you ever hear that, anybody, and you're going to buy an airbrush, because they're very accessible now, you want to buy a double action airbrush, meaning that you have the ability to control the air and the amount of paint that goes through the nozzle at the same time by pressing down on the lever and pulling back. Double action lever. And then you could buy a couple of jars and then put a couple of colors in there. And then, you got aerosol without aerosol. You know what I mean? Because you can do fabric paint, you can do acrylic paint watered down, or you can use acrylic paint with alcohol so it thins the paint down. You can use watercolors and alcohol, because it's all about how do you get the material through the nozzle. You have to have it thin enough as a capacity, a thin enough capacity so that it could be able to slide over the needle and through the nozzles, because you're going to have small little tips and things like this to get a nice fine line. Yeah, next time you're at a fair or something, or you're at a mall and you see the t-shirt guys, they're using a lot of double action airbrushes.
Okay.
If you ever went to Great Adventure or one of these adventure parks, they have a section in there where they have somebody doing the airbrushing. T-shirts, canvases, and plates, names and all that good stuff, caricatures, you name it. And even little graffiti pieces like this. they would do on t-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Nadine, you know the deal from last week, what I was explaining. You can scan this in on your computer and have a beautiful image, JPEG image that you can have to use to post and things like that. And it'll look a little bit better as a scan than a photograph.
Mm-hmm.
The colors will be louder or more brighter, things like that. So things like highlighters, watercolors, your designer markers and all those markers that are real bright. When you do them, I would say, not unless you're going to try to do something big and you're going to go to a professional scanner at this point, I would try to keep it below 1117 so you can scan it on your computer.
Mm-hmm.
And then this way you can get it to your tablet and things like this to be able to manipulate the lines faster in your Pro Tools and all these programs like that for digital drawing and stuff like that. So if you look at our logo and if you look at some of the stuff that's on the shop page that I have, that's what I'm using. And that'll be the last time I'm saying it like that because you don't give away all your secrets, but
Nope.
you know, hey, you have to share. And since that's something that's becoming common to a lot of people, it's just that a lot of people don't take the time to understand the programs that they pick to be able to understand how to make a JPEG, a PNG, a pixel, you know, and so on and so forth. A APS file. There's different ways you can save your image to be utilized in different ways. So on that note, we've done again. Done deal, Nadine. Way to go.
Yeah.
Now don't forget, you gotta write your name Nay Love or Nay in the S part in black.
Really? In the S part?
Well, the S part, I'm calling it the part that tails off on the bottom left-hand side where your effect is.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, right there. In there, you would write your name, Nay, Nay Love, Nay 1, you know, Nay 2023. You know what I'm saying? All these are different ways that you can sign your name. You know, you can put Nay 1, Nay Love, however you want to do it. But that's your hip hop or your B-girl persona now.
My B-girl persona.
There you go. Nay Love is your graffiti graph art name. That's your persona. Way to go. Now you can make up many more, but your main one comes off your name a lot of times.
Okay.
Yeah. The main one comes off your name a lot of times, but then you can make up anything, you know. I've heard of a lot of female, like the one young lady I was talking about, Pink or Pinky. That's a graffiti artist back in the day, and she became a graphic designer and all that good stuff. And then you got people that call their name Lady Pink, Lady Love, Lady X. You know what I mean? I know one young lady, her name is Moody One. Like MOOY 1. And then sometimes she'll put the. So she'll put the Moody One.
Moody One.
You see, and these are different things you can do. You can have all your aliases at work, everybody. So it looks good, Nadine. Even before you take it off the board, it looks good. Because the overhead shows everything. You see it clear as day. So yeah, that's hot.
Okay.
Way to go.
Thank you.
Nadine, I still suggest that we strip the audio and start putting it on some of those platforms if we can.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's all. Because I was watching some of that stuff earlier today while I was coming in. And I noticed two artists I bumped into, and that's what they did. They stripped the audio away from their video and then streamed it as like a
Okay.
Yeah. Or like how that other one is, that buy me coffee thing that we're on.
Uh-huh. Oh, coffee. Yes.
Yeah, that one. I see they do that on there too as well.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be the whole thing. It's like how you do for the other video, the reels that you've been doing. You may
Uh-huh.
stop it at a, give them
Yeah,
a minute.
yeah, some of them have a limitation, so it's like 30-second. And so I've been trying to grab something that fits into 30 seconds that makes sense. So
Yeah.
that's the real challenge. If I could just put 5 minutes on a reel, there's so much
Yeah.
more, there's so much more you can lay down. So that was the
Yeah.
challenge with that. And I really wanted to do at least one. I try to do a couple of different versions of the same reel.
Yeah, that's the way.
Which one is better? Which one is? Yeah.
I just brought that up because your piece got me excited. You're looking good over there for this being your one.
Well, I don't know, because I battle the perfectionism. So this, it because it's supposed to be faster. Like if I'm thinking, if I time myself, I could do it. But I was just trying to follow you. And
well, I'm showing you how it get to the point where I'm showing you how the highest level of the graffiti artist work. You know what I mean? After a while, after you do all the things about last week and the week before, making your own lettering stuff. What I'm saying when I said that during that session is that you would walk into that person's room or place where they're living, and you would see letters everywhere, different types of styles of paper everywhere, with all types of highlighters, because they're making their lettering style. Now, once they get that, what we would call mastered or memorized, you see, they're able to do it on call anywhere. The whole other key of graffiti is to be able to have the confidence to do it anywhere, any place, on any surface. And you only garner that through strict repetition. And that's where it comes from. So after a while, after doing a couple of these, Nadine, you don't believe it, but you'll start having a go-to thing that you like to do when you start doing these. And express themselves. Like me, I like to put arrows in things. When I'm doing, lettering styles and stuff like that, I'll do a wild style, or I'll do arrows that disguise and disperse, to cross it and stuff, to diffuse what it's looking like, to make it harder for the person to decipher. You got styles that do that, but you start off this way to get a basic understanding. And you just start expressing and doing like you're doing, and just start dealing with all types of colors, even colors that shouldn't go together, that people say shouldn't go together, put them together and see what happens. Yep, and then you'll see. Yes, indeed. And that's it, everybody. That's the whole ordeal. We went 16 over today.
Yeah. Oh, let me get my chair together. I'm stuck. Okay, so that was fun.
Yes, indeedy. Let's see.
I put a little protective thing on the floor, and getting caught
with
it.
So you don't mess your floor?
Yeah, trying, because trying to make stuff last.
No, I understand.
So wow, this was awesome. So anyway, thanks to Don for guiding us on another adventure in graph art and creating, and let's paint and draw along. As you know, if you don't know, if you want to check out some of Don's creations, yes, 24/7, keep creating 365 days, go over to DonStephensArt.com/shop.
There it is.
/shop. And if you're really confused, all you got to do is go to the description section in this video. on YouTube and wherever else you are watching this, and you will see that as well. Look at that. Yeah, got a little sweater on.
8x10 doggy porn. This is the drawing stage, the coloring. So yeah, nice. Everybody.
Yes. So, and if you're not doing this already, shame on you. Follow Don. Follow Don. Go over to his website. Check out what he's doing. And
go to the Instagram.
Go to the Instagram. The link will be on this website. All of that stuff. Do that. And if you love me, you can follow me too. And just remember, you are not done yet if you're over 50, because that's my little message. In addition to keep creating, because if we're not, we ain't breathing.
There you go. Don't forget to draw along, everybody. Join our group. Come on back out. Join the group. Get more proactive on there. So we can see you more. Let's go. All right.
We want to hear from you. So leave a comment in the comment section, and thank you for joining us. Have a great week. Stay cool. Talk to you soon. Peace. Yeah. Keep creating. Keep creating, everybody.